Hello and welcome to What It's Like. Today I want to talk about 5 cars from the vintage era and the modern era that I would love to do for this channel this year. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I'm pretty good at tracking down cars for the channel, but these cars are a lot harder to find. And if you know somebody that has these in the Western Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio, Panhandle, West Virginia, I'd go to New York or Michigan. Let me know in the comment section below. What cars are you guys interested in seeing a review for? Put it in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to track down that car and do a review of it. So we're gonna start the list with the vintage/classic cars. Number 5 is the 1965 Buick Riviera. If you don't know, 1965 was a standalone year for the Riviera. It almost shares the same body style as the 63 and 64, with the only difference being the light situation. The headlights are behind this clamshell, and they open very unique. I should stop right there and say that the interior is probably different, but most of the body design, especially the back, is pretty much the same on the 63 and 64. Okay, next up is the 1957 through 1958 Studebaker Golden Hawk, one of the most underrated cars of the 50s as far as power goes. It had a 289 that was supercharged V8. I'm not entirely sure about the power output, so I won't say it on here. I think it was around 275 horsepower or something like that, but it didn't weigh as much as, say, like a DeSoto Adventure or some other big car that might have had a little bit more or a lot more power. But the power to weight ratio in this car is something more like a Thunderbird. In 1958, there was a recession, and that's what ended up killing the Golden Hawk. Studebaker went on to just produce the regular Hawk. It was like the Silver Hawk body style with the pillars until the Gran Turismo came out. Super cool car. 56 was actually the first year for the Golden Hawk, but it had a Packard V8 and it didn't have the crazy fins. Okay, next up, I want to do an Amphicar. I always thought that these things were so cool. This is an advertisement, and it's claiming that it's the sports car that swims. It's not really a sports car. It was called the Amphicar 770, 7 miles an hour in the water, 70 miles an hour on land. They're just so cool and quirky that why wouldn't you want to do one? They're getting really hard to find, and they're getting super expensive, but I'm hoping that I could do one this year. I would really love to drive it on the land and the water to get a feel of what the car was. That would be awesome. That would be like a dream come true for me. Okay, next up, 1958 Edsel. And I know what you're thinking. Why would you want to do a car like this? When I first saw this car, I was about 16 years old in a model form, and I thought it was the most hideous thing ever. But then I got into learning about it and found out what a commercial failure it was, and it just always intrigued me. They made 2 wheelbases. This is the longer of the 2 wheelbases. This one's the Citation convertible. They only made 930 Citation convertibles. They made less Citation convertibles than they did Ferrari F40s. Underneath the hood of the Citation and Corsair series, they were the longer wheelbase series, sat a 410 cubic inch, 375 horsepower V8. There wasn't hardly anybody in the 50s that produced 375 horsepower. The DeSoto Adventure did, and Mercury had this 400 horsepower behemoth of an engine, but it went in these huge cars. In the Mustang video, I said that there was 3 cars. I forgot to mention I found a 58 Edsel, and it was on the list, but I just didn't think that I had the bank account to buy that car right now because the teletouch system was problematic in the 50s and is probably problematic now. There were electronic push buttons in the center of the steering wheel column, and the steering wheel column stayed stationary, and the steering wheel turned around the column where the column stayed straight. And I just thought that that was like a marvel. Nobody else has ever done that before up until that point, and I don't know if anybody's done it since, to be honest. Okay, moving on. 1936 through 1942 Packard. And I know what you're thinking. That's a huge spread. It is a huge spread, but these Packards aren't crazy expensive yet. Like, you could still get them for relatively cheap. That's why I want to do these ones and not 35 and older, because those ones are really expensive. But these ones I think capture what Packard was going for. And I love the pronounced fenders on the 36 through 39 Packards. The grills can open and close when you're at speed. They'll close. They stopped doing that after 42. I think 42 is the pinnacle of like the zenith of like Packard design. I know what you could say that the Packard Caribbean is a nice car, and it is. That was probably their last one. I mean, the 58 Packard was pretty much a Studebaker Golden Hawk with a vacuum cleaner front end. It was hideous in my opinion. But these two examples are just gorgeous, and I would love to do many Packards. Like, it doesn't have to be just one this year. Those were the 5 vintage cars that I want to do. I've also included a Hail Mary car. I'd love to do a vintage Grand Prix car. This is a Type 35. This is a pure saying. It's not a real one, but it's pretty freaking close to the real thing. And I tell my wife that this is my dream car, either this or the Alpha. And I would drive it. All these YouTubers are buying cars like Bugattis and Lamborghinis. If I had enough money, I would buy this and I would drive it. I would drive it. I would be that guy that drove this car every day. I know this one's in a museum, so I was going to reach out to them and see if I could do this one, but this one's a huge history piece. 1916 Packard Twin Six Racer. Doesn't get any cooler than that. Okay, on to the new cars. Number 5 is the Kia EV6. It's an electric car, but man, look at the styling on this. Look at how that line sweeps up, goes through the wheel well, hits the back light bar. It just looks so freaking cool. It's supposed to come out this year. I don't know a whole bunch of specs on it right now, but I'd love to do this car for the channel. Okay, moving on, another electric car, the Mustang Mach-E. If you look at it from this angle, it looks a lot like a Tesla Model X. I didn't include Teslas on this because I'm definitely going to do some Teslas this year. I'm a huge electric car enthusiast, and I know that's counterintuitive of my channel. I like the vintage stuff, I like the new stuff, but I'd really like to do a Mustang Mach-E. They're just really hard to find right now. Okay, moving on. I'd love to get my hands on a Toyota Supra. I saw this car at the 2015 New York Auto Show, and it was labeled as something else, and it was a little bit bigger. I don't remember what the concept car name was, but it looked good then. Looks even better now, and good things come to those who wait. If you bought the first year, you got suckered on power. If you waited, they offer more power, baby. So I'd love to do one. I just got to find one. Okay, next up is a really impossible vehicle to find, but it's carving a whole new market. I would love to do the Ford Maverick. I think it's a game changer for the pickup truck industry. It's not the first time that Ford even offered a compact mini truck. This is almost the same size as the original, the OG Ranger, and I think that's why it has a lot of appeal. Yes, you can't pull a skid steer with it, but it's not made for that. Most people that get trucks don't use trucks to their fullest capabilities, where you could just, go to the hardware store, pick up whatever you need to pick up, gets 40 miles to the gallon in the hybrid version. There isn't a truck that does that. Okay, number 1 in the new car list is the C8 Corvette. I've reached out to numerous car dealerships and some private owners that have thousands of miles on these things, just to, get a camera in there and give you my take on it. And all I get's crickets. I'm going to keep trying, but it's a really hard car to get a hold of. Okay, I've included a Hail Mary car for the modern era. It's the Rivian R1. It's Hail Mary for me because I'm just a little car channel starting out. They've been giving these out to just about everybody. I would love to review one. I think they're so cool. It's the first electric truck to market, beat the Cybertruck and the Ford Lightning to market. And, it just looks cool. I love the headlight design. I love the light bar in the front. It just looks like a traditional pickup truck, whereas the Cybertruck doesn't so much. But I'd love to do a Cybertruck too when that eventually comes to market. Rivian's also going to make an SUV model. I just love the design of both of them, and I'd love to do either or for the channel would be great. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And please like, share, and subscribe if you're into everything automotive. And until next time, toodaloo!